Hello everyone, this is gonna be a phone S-type situation because of the nature of the video, but we'll get into that in a little bit. Till then, let's just start here. I just got in, and it's nice. It says 159, but I'm chilling with it. I like it. We can mess with the lights, it seems like, and also the other stuff. Let's see. Okay. Oh, this is really nice. There's also a TV in here, which is nice. Ooh, that's warm. Yeah, that part is warm. There's a nice little TV, so I'm gonna put something on. I'm gonna be in here for like 30 minutes, and I'm gonna hop in the shower. They have a vitamin C shower, which we will be doing the research on, and we'll have a full-on thing after all this experience on, in comparison. I've already done some digging, because y'all already know me and myself. So, but, ooh, I like the blue too. But I got a little compress. I did citrus because they have eucalyptus, but Equinox had eucalyptus, so I'm very used to the eucalyptus, so I want something different comparison. They gave me a water for my first time, so I kind of like that. That was pretty nice. But, yeah, and afterwards we have the cold plunge. So we will see that and experience that too. I wasn't sure if I was going to actually end up being able to film this, but we are, so we're going to do it and see if I can just subvert myself. Like once. Just once. Hello guys, this is like, I want to say a good month later or so, after the initial video. So I'm sorry if I've forgotten some stuff between now and then. It's been a very, very busy amount of the last couple weeks, months, and if you saw the Sometimes Life Sucks video, then you'll understand. So if you haven't seen that, go see that. If you haven't seen the entire playlist, go look at the playlist. So yeah. There's that. But I wanted to talk about the other side of the whole experience. I will say, I think the only thing I would personally pay for would be the cold plunge, and it's not something that I'd be ritually on. The reason I say that is because the pricing wasn't horrible. I think if the pricing was super high, then it wouldn't be something I ever consider. In general, I think, but each to their own. Each to their own. When I was going through everything, the one thing I had the most skepticism. The thing I was the most uncertain of was the vitamin C. The fact that they mentioned the vitamin C infusion so much, and that was like kind of one they're like, hey, yeah, we have this, and then we have the infrared sauna, and then the cold plunge, like, vitamin C. That was the one thing I was kind of like, I don't know about that. I don't know how I feel about that. Because I see the sauna where there's benefits to that, there's benefits to cold plunge to certain degrees and extents, depending on what you're looking at, what research papers you're looking at, what trials you're looking at, and all that kind of stuff. Which I will get into in a minute, but the vitamin C was the one thing I could basically not find a single thing on, or it was very hard for me to find anything that I was like, this is something you could stand on. It was not great in comparison to like when I was looking at research for cold plunges and the saunas and all that, and then you turn around and look at the, you know, the vitamin C, there's like next to nothing. very limited. And so I have a hard time with them propagandizing that aspect of their whole ritual, or I don't know, modalities, when there's really not that much to back it up. So that's the other thing I kind of have to say about the vitamin C, is that was something that I was, from the get-go, was already like kind of and then later on trying to look for information for it, I was like, yeah, I felt this coming. I saw this coming, but it's fine. But yeah, when I'm looking at a bunch of this stuff when it comes to vitamin C, like, the one thing I found was like a general mention of vitamin C. Like, not even the spectrum of like the shower heads and them being infused, little vitamin C from the NIH. Talking about what vitamin C is and how you can get vitamin C, how to see you have adequate amount of vitamin C, things like that. So not even in regards to the shower infusions, that is what I could find. Now, if anyone actually has some info on it, then cool, let me know, because I couldn't find crap. I don't know if it's just because I sucked looking for it or what, but that's all I know. Now, I'm not gonna really talk about the red light because I didn't find too much on it. I know there's probably more. That was the one modality I did the least amount and wasn't all that thrilled or excited about. I kind of just did it to do it, and I was like, I can't see myself ever doing this again, really. I don't have the patience to sit in front of it when I can't even look at anything else because you have to wear the glasses and everything, which you saw the clip right here. I'm going to just put it here instead. But it's not something I could sit myself through ever again, I don't think, unless I have like a podcast on or something, maybe, but even then I'm just too fidgety and everything. Even in the sauna, I was pretty fidgety. I was like going in and out and like watching, then I just say 5 music videos and like doing other stuff on my phone. Like, I'm very, So, I'm not really going to talk much about the red light therapy because of that. Because it's not a modality didn't really enjoy to begin with, and wasn't something I kind of just did it because it was there, and I was like, cool, whatever. So something I kind of really looked into. But I did find a good amount of info between cold plunges and infrared saunas, more on the cold plunge side of things, because I've heard a lot of back and forth, and I'm someone who does watch a lot of the sport meds on YouTube and things like that, like Mike Israel. I've watched, what's his name? He's really well known too. His wife or girlfriend is Stephanie, I think, if I remember correctly. I can find him through here because I know Jeff Nippard, that's who I was trying to think about. He's the other guy who I was thinking of. I do watch them pretty often, more Mike Israel. I did watch Jeff Nippard a long time ago, when his significant other was doing a lot on YouTube. I don't know if she still does, but I used to be really into her videos when I was younger. So, yeah. But that's a sidetrack. So, I know there's a lot of different conversations had to be made on top of what benefits or no benefits in cold plunging. Even when I was doing research on my own, there's very much of a back and forth of whether or not there are benefits, but at the same time, a lot of these people were saying, even with the benefits that they are seeing in the cold plunge, there's not enough information yet there to point to one solid conclusion of yes or no. Or at least from what I was looking at, like I said, I only see so much. I'm only 2 eyes and 1 brain. So, but based off of what I was looking at, everywhere was really kind of open with their benefits, and yeah. Now, cold plunge has been a thing for a long time, but it kind of resurfaced and became more popularized through fitness influencers and just social media marketing in general, which I think there's a chance it still would have been popular down the line, but I think if it wasn't for social media being such a big thing nowadays, I don't think it would have that much of a big resurface. Or, where now there's these places that have cold plunges and things like that for people to come in and do them. Now, for the cold plunging, they're trying to explain and state that it's good for soreness, it's good in general, things like that. And in this particular one, and I'm gonna link all these down in the description, but and you can take a look yourself if you really wanted to. But basically, like I said earlier, I think I had more resources because of social media and things like that, because this has been a thing for a long time. But the other thing that they're trying to say is that it's gonna speed up recovery and reduce muscle soreness, which we already talked about, and the perceived feeling of recovery and reduce post-exercise inflammation. I think a lot of times we have to be careful too, because when we are reading these research claims and things like that, and then we're thinking about it in general, I feel like us as people, we will see other people doing this on social media and things like that and think, oh, I need to do this. And then we kind of trick our brains and go, oh, this is good for me. I'm gonna feel good after this. And then you do it and you feel good because you're already in that mind state, things like that. So it's trying to figure out how much of this is actually the reality and how much is just part of your brain kind of like going off of it, I guess, if that makes sense. Because I think sometimes we get in that space where like, oh, other people are doing this, I'm gonna do this, and it mimics someone doing something relaxing per se, but what might be relaxing for someone else might not be for other, things like that. But we kind of trick our mind almost into it, which I think is something we have to be very careful with. But yeah. Now they are stating here that there's also, and I think I've heard, don't quote me on this because I could be wrong, I think even Mike Israeli has talked about this, and I probably butchered his last name, it's fine, about muscle growth when it comes to cold plunges, because in this one they do find that there is chances where it does blunt the increase in muscle mass and size, and the power and strength in muscles. So your muscular strength and power decreases along with size by these cold plunges. Now, like I said, there's only so much because a lot of this is still a lot open, and I feel like they're still needing to conduct more studies and towards it and stuff like that. But they do state that in this one, which I find interesting because if you're someone who wants to go really hard and then you want to then reduce any possible DOMS, delayed onset soreness, down the line or anything, then you might be thinking, oh, maybe a cold plunge would benefit me, things like that. But if it is true that you have a chance of decreasing your muscle size, decreasing your strength and power and all that, then you're counter doing what you just went really hard at the gym for. And now this gym side of things has a whole different arena to play with, like, you know, how heavy are you going, reality of how heavy do you have to go to increase your muscle size, things like that. So there's multiple factors that will play into it. So that, I think, is the other thing, is that it's not one set thing. It's many individual things, individual people, hormones. It's a bigger picture. There's a bigger picture. Well, the other surface I was looking at here did decide to talk about cryotherapy too, which I've done in the past. I've done it once because I had a free session. I think I enjoy cryotherapy better than cold plunging. I think cryotherapy is a little bit easier to handle. I don't know why. I think it's, I don't know. From what I can remember, because it was probably like a year or two ago that I did cryotherapy, I preferred it. I feel like it was something I was able to deal with better. Now, the place that I went to, I don't know if it's like this in all places, they give you headphones and they play music that you like, so that way you can listen to it while you're in there for 2 to 3 minutes or however long. I think that might be a reason, because it makes it more bearable versus in a cold plunge. You're not really going to put headphones on when you're trying to cold plunge because water. So that might have been a reason too, or just because it's just cold air against you and you do wear protective stuff, where in a cold plunge you're kind of just like more out in the open per se, I guess, depending on how you do it. But yeah, so this was kind of what I was talking about here. I think it came from the NIH From this review, it's clear that there is increasing scientific support that volunteer exposure to cold water may have some beneficial health effects. However, it's also clear that there's a need for new controlled research studies that are specifically focused on this topic. So, yeah, that's kind of what I was kind of pointing at and saying earlier, where there's a lot of things that still need to be more looked into depth, and there's only so much we can kind of look at now versus then. And I think the part of what I was saying earlier, where there's multiple factors in play, and so it's trying to get the studies to eliminate some of those factors while including some and just really narrowing it down to really get an actual answer, which is probably very hard. If you're getting the idea what I'm trying to reciprocate. But yeah. Now, the infrared sauna, I was in there, I think, for 50 minutes, if I remember, 40 to 50 minutes. I went back and forth a lot. I do think the lights do provide some of that more mood lighting, relaxation type of ordeal. Now, there is, from what I was looking at, a difference between the infrared sauna and the regular sauna. Now, with the infrared, yeah, it's those big beams that are there. But they are benefits to it from what people are quoted to say. So a lot of people will say sweating one that's induced by it will remove the toxins, heavy metals, things like that, flushing out. I'm not the person who likes to stand on that. Now, I mean, if there's evidence and research, then I mean, what can I do? I just have a hard time thinking about it and all that and conceptualizing it in my own brain. So that's just an issue with me. Now, if this is proven, then, I'm not going to argue against proven science. I just have a hard time conceptualizing it and understanding it. But yeah. Now, this is off of Mass Gen, but they are saying that more research needs to be done, and this is what enthusiasts cite. So they cite that. They say that sweating will lead to X, Y, and Z. Like I said, I have conflicting thoughts on that. Relaxation, stress reduction, improved sleep, things like that. I can see how that can play a role because kind of what I was saying earlier, we see other people doing other things, we kind of trick our minds and we go, oh, I should be doing this too, blah, blah. Now, I think it's always going to be a case-to-case person because, like I said, what relaxes someone might not relax the other, and that's kind of where I'm at, where I don't think something that relaxes me that way, because and I moved around a lot during that whole session, which I think was another problem. I couldn't sit still, but it was relaxing to me to an extent, but there was a point where I was like, I'm kind of over it. So that's why I'm like, out of everything I did there, the only thing I would pay for would probably be the cold plunge, because I can't see myself sitting through that again for like 50 minutes, because then I'm going bounce back and forth. I think I took like two vitamin C showers and then went back in, and I was just all over the place. I enjoyed it though. I was very all over the place. Great experience for what I paid for, because I don't think I paid full price for that one. The cold plunge, sure, I'll pay full price for it, but it's, like I said, just here and there. They are saying that there's boosted immune function, pain relief, things like that. The pain relief I can kind of see depending on the pain, the issue, what's the actual thing, because there's some diagnoses where you can be more sensitive to heat, things like that. So I think they have to be very specific in terms of that, and who will actually benefit, what population will benefit for it, what clientele would benefit from it, things like that. Now, when we look at everything, the lamps are what are creating the warmth for the therapy, compared to the traditional ones where they crank up the air temperature within the entire sauna. So they're both very different, and they have different temperatures that play a role here. But yeah, like I said, I think out of everything I did there, cold plunge would be the one thing I would actually consider. I know I was very all over the place with this. It wasn't really trying to like get an answer or anything. It was more like me rambling over the things I found, and understanding it. So yeah, this was a little bit more of a rambly video. I hope you enjoyed the vlog portion of it. But yeah, like I said, don't quote me on anything I said. These were just my understandings and interpretations of everything. I will link the actual articles that I was reading it down below. I don't know if this is something that like is full access or anything like that, or if you have to have certain like account for it. I accessed a lot of these through my school research options. So, like I said, I don't know if this is like something everyone can look at or not. I know some of them, like the Mass Gen, the Cleveland Clinic, those are just on their website. But other than that, I will see you guys next time. All right, bye.